Friday morning, August 29, 99. Here and there a ray of sunshine. Making everything sparkle with light. Driving over here earlier, up and down the hills, so lush with green grass and fields of buckwheat and goldenrod, and horses and cows. I was wondering what to talk about this morning. And the brain was sort of scanning itself, where there was some unanswered question that had come up recently. And to mind came an email, which I read yesterday, which I will read here, at least parts of this email, and see what comes of it in the way of an inquiry. This email comes from Sunyana Grave, who I think is in Vermont. She's a Zen teacher. She leads a Zen center there. And writes, Dear Dharma Center, in the fall of this year, many Buddhist centers are conducting a meditation for world peace. The purpose of this letter is to ask you and your community if you and your community would be willing to lend your strength to that effort. The meditation would ideally take the form of dedicating a retreat at your center to world peace. We're asking that any time in October, if necessary late September or early November, be the focus of this meditation. Perhaps you already have a retreat or meditation intensive scheduled for this month. If so, would you consider dedicating those days to world peace? I leave some things out. Some teachers are planning to give talks on peace during the retreat. Others will dedicate chanting each day to world peace, yet others will have a special ceremony to close the days of meditation. Your input would be welcome. You might know of readings or already have a ceremony for the purpose of world peace. If you would like to share this information, it will be disseminated to those who request it. Will you join us? The power of mind is unlimited. If we band together in common purpose for a day, a week, a month, the effect will be immeasurable. Just knowing that so many people are engaged in focusing their energies in the direction of peace and harmony will be a powerful experience in and of itself. Please join us in working together in this unique way at the close of the century for the sake of our planet and all its inhabitants. In the Dharma Sunyana Grave. So many questions that come up with this communication, which are well worth looking into. So, some realization of what is verbal, conceptual, and what is not. What is the world? What is peace? What am I? What are we in relationship to the world or world peace? I know there have been uncounted prayer meetings toward world peace, meditations toward world peace. But who am I who is praying, and what is the world that I'm praying for? What just pops in the mind is the interesting fact that in Russian, the word mir, M-I-R, is both world and peace. It's a strange coincidence. It can become sort of a formula of a question, but we need to ask it deeply. Am I separate from this world that I'm praying for? And if I feel this way, why do I feel this way? What is separation? Is that a fact or an illusion? I remember as a child praying to a God that I believed in, due to stories I had read, pictures I'd seen. Things that I heard others talk about. And I prayed. For safety, for security of my parents, particularly my mother. Not to let the house burn down, that was always contained in the nightly prayer. And after the war broke out, that no bomb may hit that huge smokestack, the gas company, which was several blocks away from us. I calculated in my mind that if that thing fell in our direction, we would be hit by the bricks that put together this huge smokestack. Did I pray for peace? I don't know whether that concept was very strong, because right now the war had broken out and the terror of persecution. So many millions of human beings to die or be exterminated. Remember all the sequences of events, but I do remember the day the belief in God shattered. After an intense air raid, the depression that followed, great activity to put the fire out in the attic. When we're actively doing things, we don't get depressed. We do, and we feel good when we see the results, the smoldering ashes, the fire out. Depression comes later when thought floods into the mind about our condition. What could have happened, what horror we're living through, and what will happen or could happen in the future, which was so unthinkable, unimaginably uncertain, insecure, threatening. But who could I have faith in after all of what had happened, was happening? That faith disappeared, but the question remained, what is the meaning of all of this? Confusion, nonsense, unimaginable chaos, violence, human beings against human beings. What was the meaning of being born into this? It was a live question. It was not. The depression received a bit, was given to it every once in a while, but the question had an aliveness to it, which meant kindling interest in finding out. The answer. To give peace to this mind, which was filled with fear, unsettledness, trepidation, guilt. And with sustained interest in what is going on for ourselves and this world, not separate from each other, that has to be looked at together. With this sustained interest come the way I felt it, to put a metaphor, sometimes when you cross a stream or body of water in a Japanese-like garden, there are stones that come out of the water or pieces of wood stumps, and you go from one stump or rock to the next, leaving behind what you've stepped on. And it's like such rocks and steps through the water or stream that things presented themselves, readings, people, and eventually meditation at a Zen center. To look inward, to question thoroughly, completely. Not satisfied with any answer that was not complete. So, what is inner peace? I don't know whether we can answer anything about world peace unless there is certainty about what is inner peace and inner war, inner division. To go easy on groping and grasping for ideal states for myself and humanity and try to work toward them with prayer or chanting or meditation, before really being clear what is war and peace within oneself. From moment to moment, I'm not saying for all time, because as one watches aliveness from moment to moment, one realizes it's the changeability of war and peace within oneself. Begins to learn about this brain, totally interconnected with this organism, capable of arousing one thought that arouses and mobilizes the entire body, with feelings of fear or hatred, call to action, to avenge, to protect, or to help, to assist. We're talking right now about thoughts arousing those energies. Because there's another way of arousing energies which comes out of being directly faced with the situation we're in. Not through idealistic concepts or ideas or memories, but in touch with what's here. Not all encapsulated in our own memory-ridden self. Out of this direct in touchness arises action which is not directed by thought. No matter how kind or unkind, how loving or hateful. Immediate presence is immediate action which comes out of seeing, awareing what's here, beyond the thoughts about it. Those thoughts come later here. Of course, if the thoughts are here now, there is no touch with the situation as it is right now. It's impossible. We're embedded in thinking, self-centeredly, idealistically, prejudiced. We cannot see each other. We cannot see the world we live in, which is ourselves. And all kinds of different outcroppings. Humanity is one consciousness, one human consciousness, with infinite excretions. You and me and them and us, all different unfoldings of one consciousness. So, who am I? Who are we at this moment to pray for the world? Which is horrendously at war with itself and also, for moments at a time, at peace. In this state of goodness, of two people seeing each other directly and being there for each other in what is demanded in this moment out of the situation. Mind cleared of concepts, images. It's amazing how one meets together in goodness. I cannot begin to list all the events, particularly as a consequence of Kyle's condition. This incredible help people are offering. I was talking to the man at the post office in Danielsville yesterday, mailing a package. He asked whether I needed anything else, stamps. I told him we don't need stamps. My husband is using up his father's collection of 1 and 2 and 3 cent stamps. And he can cover a whole envelope. Because the stamp collector told him this was not worth even the value of the denomination. Is that how you put it? It was going to give him less money than those things were times ago. The post office would give me more. He says, well, we are not a post office. Is that what the stamp expert said? So I related that to the to the man at the counter there in the post office. Because he says, don't have him use up those stamps. You'll find somebody who will appreciate them. They're firm. My husband is 80 and his father is long dead. He collected those stamps. I said, well, Kyle doesn't really have much inclination right now to run after postage stamp people. He's not too well. And this man, we've never exchanged a personal word except hello. He said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Down to the post office, the dance, this feeling. Let us know if there's something we can do for you. And people are doing things right now. Somebody's staying with Kaya from staff, taking care of her, cleaning the house. So, we're not only at war with each other, we're also at times, and these are the best moments of our lives, acting spontaneously out of the goodness of our hearts. Bringing a moment of peace to ourselves and each other, meaning ending of conflict between what I want and between what you want, and the collision of wants, which is there operating in human beings almost incessantly. The wanting and the brain going with it, affirming that this is important or real or true, what I want, and having this whole body organism under its control. The control of thoughts of what is right, what is good, but not coming out of openness this moment, but ideational thinking. So, when we dedicate a retreat, a limited amount of time, to world peace, on the basis of what? Being all too familiar with war in ourselves, with conflict, how it arises, how it is born, how it is maintained, by storyline about what is happening to me and what should not happen to me, what other people are doing to me, or should not be doing. Familiar with this so we don't fall into the trap time and time again. But why just dedicate a retreat to this discovery of ourselves as we live in conflict and occasional goodness? But in touchness with ourselves, which is in touchness with the entire world. Can we see that? Is that the first step to understand that absence of division between myself and the world? That's not an intellectual understanding, although it's a beautiful thought, much more beautiful, maybe with better temporary effects than thinking we're all potentially or actually at each other's throats, divided, all different little groups and individuals and countries and sanghas and ethnic groups. There's a tremendous realization that there is no separation, and that can only dawn at the moment that our whole network of thinking about ourselves is absent, as though the plug was pulled out. It doesn't get energy. The energy is here, being here, that sees the whole world as itself, not as me, but as nothing divided, as nothing to be divided from. When this organism is encapsulated in itself, in the thoughts and memories and traditions about itself or its group, then we are simply one community. You can put that word to it. No, you and me. The mind, and let us say we use that word mind to encompass all meditation, all mental processes, remembrances, anticipation, longings, ideals. When that mind is quiet, there is an openness. Somebody called it having no head. Is how it feels. Nothing there to enclose and to separate. In that no mind, there is a crow cawing. There is no thought of world peace or praying for it. Everything is as it is. In an indescribable way. And sharing that with each other as we're doing right now. Without measure. Maybe we can open up a dialogue about this. You may have already brought a question here that does not concern this topic. Feel free to ask it, or whatever this may have stirred up, brought in ways of question or comment, please feel free to voice it, express it. Not worrying how you express it, it will come. If we don't understand what you're saying, we can ask what you mean by this or that. And then a question or statement begins to formulate itself out of listening. Let me also say that you do not need to agree with what was said in the talk, but can question it.
What really strikes me about what you said was the power of ideals. I mean, in a way, you just say world peace, and I mean, certain kinds of images come to mind. Certain kinds of, I mean, even kind of graphic things. You know, picture of the Earth seen from space. Whole kind of emotional sense of the desirability of the idea of harmony, what that would be. I don't know, there just seems to be, all sorts of ideas about what war is, how undesirable that is. There seems to be a lot of ideas that come up about it instantly as soon as you say it. And world peace, I mean, it sounds very noble, very desirable. And what strikes me about all that is that this is the kind of mechanism that I've learned in life to mobilize action, to mobilize energy. And it sounds like that's what this woman who was writing the letter was hoping for. Some kind of arousal of energy in a certain direction. And I mean, in ordinary life that works quite well. Ideas come up, it associates with emotions, and something happens. But it just seems like we don't know nearly as much about the other way of being, where one can simply, be and respond to what is. I mean, the action, whatever action comes up, being a response to that is right then. Seems like there's in retreats, it becomes more clear, that kind of way of responding.
Is there an idea in the mind right now how you should respond?
Well, you mean to the idea to world peace?
You're talking
right now?
Yeah. And is it, I should respond this way, I should respond that way, to be seen this way, not to be seen that way.
In a way, I mean, there's I could say that there are definitely, kind of nagging little questions that come up. Well, if I say such and such, what will people think? I mean, is this the right sort of thing to say, to open a discussion, for instance? Is it even, something that anybody is interested in? On the other hand, just simply watching what came up inside, that was it. So, I don't know, just kind of came out.
I think for me, the dilemma is if you don't have peace within yourself, I mean, it's easy to have a sense of it during retreat, but in terms of one's daily interactions, it's easy to get, I don't know how to say this exactly, but it's easy to get a sense of almost complacency and withdrawal from becoming actively involved or responding outside of one's own little sphere. One can have a sense that, if you're not peaceful in your daily life and in your home and in your work, that's enough to work on that. But somehow there's this sense of not fully embracing and not being responsive to what's really out there, to become sort of self-enclosed and actually developing this image of this is my work to become a peaceful person within myself and then within my family. Maybe that could spread and eventually I'll be able to take social action. I think I have somewhere in the back of my head some image or thought about how this progression might work as a spiritual person. You know, that I'll take these steps and move forward in this way. But there's this sense of how off that is, and that this complacency and idea of how I'm doing the work is very limiting in terms of my ability to respond, perhaps to real needs or to situations where I could be more actively involved. I find myself sometimes when things present themselves, kind of so filled with questions about the worth of them that I become immobilized and I just become confused and incapable of participating.
Well, it sounds like, I can relate to it because I can get like a really easily too. But it sounds like, I think it seems like what Toni's saying is that action comes out of not having all those thoughts, that there are all these ideas about how we should be, and that, complacency, and, if I'm just working on myself, but all that's like thinking, it's all the mind doing all these ideas. And then when something presents itself, then there are more ideas, and so the mind's just kind of stopped, It's like when that thinking sort of falls away, that something can happen. And who knows what that is? Maybe that's just going over and giving your daughter a hug, or maybe it's going on in March. I think I get really stuck when I have some idea about what all these things, certain actions mean. If I'm going to really, work for the world, I should be over in, Kosovo dealing with the survivors or something. I have that idea, and only when I can sort of let go of it, then sort of living takes over. Maybe someday I will go to Kosovo, or maybe not. It's sort of not having some sort of preconceived notion about what all this stuff means. I remember when I first started doing this, it's kind of strange. So sort of having a little sad, actually, because I feel like I'm going to be leaving staff, and it's sort of, sometimes it's sad, and this is kind of like a full circle, sort of. Because I remember when I first started, when I was first drawn to meditation, it was during Iraq War, and it's like, after, years of doing all this stuff that, little things that activists do, whatever, in the marches, and whatever we thought we could do to change the wars or whatever. It started again with Iraq, and of course it didn't do anything. The United States just went ahead and bombed them. And that was, there was a moment there, it's like, what is the question, or what is there to do? And, for me it was just, maybe it was what you were talking about. It's like, you're looking inward, there's what else was there to do? There was like, any outward action didn't work. And so, what is it? Where is this world peace going to flow from? And so I started doing meditation. It's sort of interesting having this, near the end of my staff time, having this discussion.
sure, but of course you could wonder what's meant by outward action not working, what we mean by working, what we mean by outward action, but I guess the sort of the initial feeling I had from that is, I mean, I wouldn't assume that either, that if we're coming from a place of wholeness or whatever, that doesn't have its impact. It may not be like a pre-calculated thing, getting what one wants or something, but I think we do impact each other, and in that sense the world. So and even in little ways we all know that, either hearing somebody or reading something or a piece of music or whatever, that things may, if we're also in a space of, that is open to that, things happen, something's revealed, drops away. So I don't know, I wouldn't also say that things don't also happen.
But I think that what you said, it's like it has to come from that space of
Yeah.
awareness, when the outward action is coming from these ideas that, if I write this letter, and what you said at once, if I write this letter, if I go on this lunch, if I, go and do something else, that it's kind of when it's fueled from these ideas, it's, maybe there's some impact too, but it really seems like whatever the impact is, that's, I don't know, quote unquote peaceful, leads to some sort of real meaning. It comes from this openness and falling away of this sense of self and control and what. I actually think outward action is probably quite important, but not somehow not when it's this when it's coming from this maybe from these other places, the sense of I, the sense of power, the sense of lack, of disconnection, whatever.
So when does the action come that actually makes peace? At what moment does that action come that doesn't come out of any opinions or images about peace, of which there are probably as many as there are people on this planet? And so what? And what I'm left with from the talk is, what is world peace? Do I know what world peace is? That I can act to bring it about? What is it?
I've asked myself that a lot too. What I see is that all the time I see people, I look at people I don't even necessarily know, people who are walking down the street, and I see there are all sorts of instantly ideas and prejudices about them, from the way they walk, the way they're dressed, many things about them. their sex, their color, whatever. And these, I mean, when these ideas operate unconsciously, I mean, there are feelings of antagonism, of better, worse, feelings, I mean, and that, to me, it seems like that really is the basis of war. I mean, it's the feeling of being, you know, better, justified, worse, the underdog. I mean, all of those things just seem to come from these ideas about people that I've been taught by somebody else in my lifetime. And I mean, the emotions about these things come as soon as these ideas come into play. I mean, you can kind of see the wars in the world happening because a lot of people have strong feelings about these things and ideas about these things that they've learned, you know, from generation to generation about other people. I mean, it's like a magnified version of what happens inside of me. And it seems until I can really see someone just as they are, then there's no real chance for peace. I mean, it seems to me that really is what it is. And interestingly enough, it seems that the times when it's possible to just see somebody, then if something is needed, action comes. I mean, when I look back at my life, it seems like I've often been really hindered from acting by ideas about how people probably wouldn't want me to help in any way, you know, they just probably wouldn't appreciate it, they don't want it, maybe they don't like me, whatever. But if I can just see something, if it just is there, then a response comes with not even necessarily an idea about that response. It just happens. Like visiting somebody who's sick. Things that I never used to do.
And can one really differentiate? Mary, I think earlier you brought up being sort of hemmed in and hindered in social action. I think you used that word, but how can we differentiate between what you're describing, seeing someone as they are and a response coming? Is that still not social action? Social action starts someplace else, further down, when there are more people involved or farther away, because this is also strongly embedded in the mind. What is social action versus acting here with each other? Very, very strong hold in that idea. Remember one person who eventually left staff because it may not have been the only reason, but his father, who was a very active and successful person, kept saying, "You are not doing anything valuable for society." Just kept nagging. This concept held by the father. Where does society start? "Quote unquote society." If we do think in concepts, let's take them under the microscope or the magnifying glass and then see what are we talking about.
And also, where does peaceful action start? I mean, do we have to wait for some state of no self here or something in order to act? I mean, Mary, you were talking about getting confused with all this stuff and then feeling like you weren't doing anything. But I'm wondering if in seeing the confusion at the time, then you're not acting out of it. I mean, if I get really confused, there's an effect of that on other people around me. I'm much more likely to blunder against someone or say something unkind or whatever. But if I'm seeing that there's confusion going on here, it seems to me there's less likelihood of that. In what you were bringing up about seeing all the stuff that goes on, all the thoughts that contribute to the divisions. Maybe if I see some of those things as they're going on, then I don't, I'm not just taken away by the thoughts and acting out of that. And that made me wonder, because I thought, Toni, at one point in your talk, I thought I heard you say that it's when all of these thoughts and feelings and images are out of there that we get clear, free, peaceful action. And I'm wondering about that. I mean, is it possible for there to be peaceful action even with the thoughts there, as long as they're seen?
As long as they're seen.
As long as they're seen.
Not seen again with imagery about how thought-driven I am, or having made an image now of a state which is clear and without thoughts, and now being dominated by that image. Yes. See, if thoughts are really seen for what they are and do and how they connect with potential action, maybe action has already taken place when it's already kicked someone. But if there's a true awareing, then action comes out of that. The true seeing is the action.
Or the non-action.
Or the non-action. Yes, yes.
The walking away
Yes.
from the situation.
Silent. Yes.
Which is an action also. Not doing can be no action. A response to whatever.
Yeah, what was that old phrase? What if they gave a war and nobody came?
Things that drive human beings to war, and we're counting ourselves all as human beings. I mean, this whole Kosovo situation, that's incredible glass house you can watch by what goes on in human beings. First, the ethnic cleansing, that's not first, it goes back to Adam and Eve, what would happen. But let's start. Ethnic cleansing, thrown out of the country, torture, humiliation, horrendous killings and so forth. And now the bombing to stop this, and all destruction, waterworks, electric works, and bridges and so forth, highways, and bombing those who were trying to help by mistake. And finally, an end of the bombing. That wasn't peace, was it? The end of the bombing. Now, streaming back, and I understand all 800,000, or most of the 800,000 Kosovars are back. But now confronted with their burning houses and their loss of loved ones, no holding back of the impulse to avenge this. And the news is trying to show also the other side, what happens to the Serbs, who now are the victims of the avenge. And there will be avenging again. How how we're going to solve this. I mean, how can it be solved? Unless there's some bright light of insight into this mechanism in myself as I'm about to take vengeful action, which I've heard a scholar on Kosovo and people there lecture. He says, for people who have grown up in their tradition, there is no such thing as legal action. Avenge is the action that you do. Somebody in your family has been hurt or killed, and it's your duty to get the one who has perpetrated this. Where is the light to make this clear? We don't have it ourselves here in this country. I mean, I'm always so amazed how people, after another gunning down of people in the office or children or school kids, everyone, including the psychologists, the experts, they all say we don't really know why. Why do we do those things? There's no one saying we do this because we are totally misguided by a damaged brain, which believes what it's doing and gets this body to do is right, is good, helps me, helps others. It's at the root of it, and that is so observable in ourselves. People have said it here. Maybe not to that extent, to that magnitude, but potentially it's in us. To be misguided by ideas lodged in the brain as though they were telling us the truth about ourselves and the others. So, the first step that you were saying, deep, have insight into those thoughts, see them, and so that the sting is out of them, the power, the explosives. But very often we can notice something is seen, but the seeing sort of limps behind the continuing with the deluded action. There's tremendous momentum to it, power, energy, tradition, common infecting each other over and over again, same virus of ideas. So that's an interesting moment when the awareness sort of limps behind, or let's not call that awareness. There's some attention of what's going on, but it seems so powerless in the face of the drive to go with it. The whole body is, all systems go. And then what? It's a good moment to stop. To stop and wonder about this incredible power of our conditioning. Let it show itself. Without going with it, is that possible? Of course it's possible. But it doesn't always happen. So to be really sensitized to the situation of seeing something halfway, partially, and yet it continues. To wonder why. Not it shouldn't continue, but if I see that it should stop, or else this whole thing of seeing is just for birds. Caw. To wonder. Without self-deprecation. And if that's there, to see it. That's also part of the momentum. I'm no good anyways. We don't know what we are. We think we do because we cling to concepts about ourselves. Can we see that?
first started reading Buddhism years ago and came across this idea, this concept of natural morality. And never came across it again, but it raises questions: what's natural and what's moral? But as I started to practice, I noticed that there were actions that came from different places. There were actions that came from a sense of having an ideal or being driven by a belief or an attitude. And there were actions that came from, I can only call it the body. It was a feeling of being impelled to act, feeling drawn to act. And that the one coming from the conceptual stuff was very often driven by a sense of discomfort. Negative action, of course, always seemed to, but even positive action, having an ideal or being driven by a belief, there was some kind of dis-ease or some kind of discomfort behind that. And this other kind of seemingly intuitive action always came with a sense of ease, of finding pleasure or finding great assent or willingness to act. And that kind of action seemed to come from a sense of awareness, from a sense of just seeing, I think what you were saying, just seeing what was called for and acting. And I notice myself now always wanting to act from that place, but also noticing, when I hear about something in the news or something in my community, the sense of should. I should do something, or I must do something. And putting a burden on myself, an emotional burden of guilt or shame if I don't. So I find myself in a place of wondering, can I trust just awareness? Can I trust action that just seems to come from that place of simply wanting to act without feeling that I have to act? The beliefs and the attitudes have a very strong force in me, I notice. They want to pull me this way and that way. So I find myself in this kind of interesting place of knowing whether I can trust awareness.
It's the only thing you can trust. There's nothing else that can be trusted.
And I really sense that's true. And I find now it's just convincing.
Yes. And you're not resting satisfied with a conviction, because you can't trust the conviction either. Because next moment you may have a different conviction. I have to trust in Christ, Buddha, or whatever. So convictions cannot be trusted. But seeing conviction for what it is, really seeing it, not judging it. And it reveals itself as being an obstruction in the mind, or in the no-mind.
I find there's a sense of mental pain that comes with conviction.
Yes.
Like, this is my view, or this is my perspective, and other views and other perspectives become threats so easily to that sense of conviction or belief.
Threats are something to be discarded often, out defenses come into view and are questioned. And with that, another conviction, I can't survive being without defenses, which is a sheer false assumption. Our survival was much healthier without defenses. I mean, defense of me and my convictions. I don't need to go out of, don't stand under a tree in a lightning storm or things like that. It comes to a point where the moment you find yourself defending a conviction, awareness can pop in and expose it. And it can be dropped. And you walk lighter. What did you say? With more ease. Because there's nothing to defend. Or anything we think needs to be defended is just construct. No matter how revered. Which means to be open, could also say willing, so to say, to be open to living with uncertainty, insecurity, and what the body manifests when those feelings are there, which are usually upon investigation also fed by thoughts. Something will happen to me, where will I lay my head, where will I have an anchorage. Somebody in this last retreat said, I realize in this retreat I need an anchorage. And I'm not ready to give it up. And with that come a certain pseudo sense of security, but also the defenses. How did you say? Feeling threatened. Someone talks about no anchorage. Test it out. The wind in the trees, is that a concept? Just take effort hearing it, the winding, the rustling, the cooling, the breathing.
well, maybe this is a good